I hope I did you justice.
No, honestly, man, and I don't, you can watch any podcast I've done. I don't think I've ever really said this. Your energy and your positivity is infectious. And I really appreciate like your everything, your demeanor, everything that you're doing. Really, it means a lot. So thank you. And I appreciate you really, you getting me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for listening in to the REC Experience with your host, Chaz Takhar, and your co-host, Laura Alto Stewart. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We got season 3, episode 10. And did we ever bring you a treat?
This one was, well, I was super excited for this one. Probably more than you.
Because my guns are like, what was it?
Well, you needed his help the most, probably. So that's
probably
maybe
did.
what I was excited
Let's
about.
talk about it in the podcast.
Who do we have?
Jordan Syatt, trainer to the busiest entrepreneur, actually, like in our generation, Gary Vaynerchuk. Jordan gets to spend a lot of time with him and travels around with him. But more importantly, Jordan's content, that what he's pushing out to the world right now on all the socials.
So good.
He came across our desks and our phones, really, about 8 months ago. And we started kind of watching what Jordan was up to, YouTube channels, Instagrams, Twitters, all of that. And just spewing the truth in a very, what's the word? Like a very, for lack of a better word, like a sleazy industry, the fitness industry?
Yeah, it can be, for sure. So, I mean, I'm one of these people. I'm on social media and I'm scrolling through Instagram and whatnot. I don't like any celebrities, anything. Never. I might like the picture inside, but I never actually hit like. He is the only person that I actually will go out of my way. And I'm thinking it's probably because of I know it's because of my background in nutrition.
Right.
And just being in that industry for the few years that I was when I was at school, just understanding like what's out there in the public and what the truth actually is, and how frustrating it can be to work in an industry where people are so quick to say, well, I watched Oprah yesterday and I read in Reader's Digest and my friend told me that you're not supposed to have gluten and you shouldn't have this and you have to eat this, and it makes food and the consumption of food either good or bad. Right. And that's actually the reason I got into nutrition. I was hoping that I was going to go to school, I was going to get a degree, and I was going to have all of the information. And it was, for breakfast, I'm going to have this. And for a snack, I'm going to have this. And I was going to do the same thing every single day. And it would be the perfect laid out plan. And I think, like anything in life, and certainly what I learned in nutrition, is definitely not the case.
Well, I love the fact that he was able to bring like a lot of tactics and strategies for busy people, right? Obviously, being a personal trainer to Gary, again, like one of the busiest people that I've ever seen. But speaking to entrepreneurs, like, you can do little things. That's all. You don't have to try to change the world in 3 days, so to speak, right?
It. That's just it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, certainly what he preaches and what the truth really is that everything is about consistency. And it didn't take you 3 days to get into the shape that you're in, and it's not going to take you 3 days to get out. But at the same time, Jordan talks about it all, wherever he is, he talks about himself and how he used to get anxious to go out for dinner with friends. And I used to be like that, because he'd be like, well, what am I going to eat if they don't have exactly the right food that I can eat? And
I don't have to worry about that, because I'm really...
You've never worried about it. But there's certain, you go out and you think, oh, well, what if they, they're only serving certain foods that I don't want to eat? And there's this stress that comes around it, and it almost makes you want to stay at home and become sort of recluse in that respect. So he said he sort of dealt with that, and I can totally appreciate it, but now sort of giving himself the freedom to kind of just enjoy food and what its purpose is again. Yeah. And he definitely talks about, it's consistency over time. It's not perfection. So certainly with busy people, that's the goal.
Our listeners are going to want to make sure you hear the whole podcast. It's about 25 minutes or so. Make sure you watch this whole video, because there is a way that us here at REC are giving access essentially to Jordan's inner circle, his online
coaching program,
which, like, it is I just love the straight goods, no bullshit information that he's giving. And then at the end of the podcast, like near the end of the podcast in my discussion with him, you're going to hear some really cool inspirational stuff that he had to deal with. And I touched on some things that I've been dealing with to get over, that mentality of not wanting to push out content, and how he dealt with it and how I'm dealing with it. I hope it inspires someone. Elto, I know you really were so excited and played such a huge part in getting Jordan on our podcast. So huge shout out to you.
Was this my recommendation, maybe?
Maybe, a little bit.
I'm
not going to say that on air or anything. That'd be silly.
It was.
Thank you to you, girl.
You
appreciate your time. To the listeners, as always, I know you guys are listening and I know you're watching. Press the red button on YouTube and subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you're listening to. And as always, the feedback means the world to us. Give it to us. All right? Take care, guys.
Bye.
REC Experience presents Real Estate, Entrepreneurship, Leadership with your host, Jazz Takhar. The REC Experience podcast is now on air.
All right.
Yo.
What's up?
Yo, my man. Dude, thank you for bearing with me during all this crazy shit. I appreciate it.
Jordan, my man, just to give you a quick heads up on who my audience is. I have all real estate people, listeners, entrepreneurs, and guys in leadership roles. And I came across your profile, I'm going to say about 8-9 months ago on Insta. And I started following you and your stuff was just fire. I was loving your stuff. So my co-host / executive producer, Laura Stewart, it's funny because she has a background in fitness. Her and I are going to shoot an intro to this conversation. And then we throw it up everywhere, man. iTunes, all the podcast platforms, you do the same stuff. YouTube, I'm going to share this video, just do some post-production. I'm trying my best, I don't know if you can tell, to kind of emulate a little bit of, there's my videographer, a little bit about what your boy's doing, Gary, just trying to get some macro content with you and I, and then I'm going to splice it up into 50 different pieces of micro content. I'm trying to do what you're doing as well, but you're too fast for me right now.
Let's do it, man. I love it.
Okay, awesome, man. So again, thanks, Jordan Syatt, for doing this. I hope I pronounced your last name right. Did I get it right?
Yeah, actually, that was perfect. That was well done.
Awesome. So look, as I was talking to you off here just a second ago, Jordan, I saw your profile, your Instagram profile, and my media squad is going to make sure we bring up the videos and the content and all that stuff that you're up to that is out of this world. But before we get into that, I want to really talk to you about a little bit about how you got started into this. So tell the 10, 15 people that don't know Jordan Syatt, who you are and what you do, man.
Yeah. So first of all, man, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Seriously. I appreciate bearing with me with all the scheduling hassles. But so, I got into fitness when I was 8 years old is when I started wrestling. So that's sort of how I got into, that's was a catalyst because that took over my life. Wrestling was everything.
Are we talking WWE stuff or?
No,
okay,
Olympic style wrestling.
Love it. Yeah.
And did that in high school. I made varsity as a freshman and I had to cut a lot of weight. So as a freshman, I was cutting from 112 to 103. And I was a good wrestler from a technique perspective, from an endurance perspective, but strength-wise, I wasn't where I needed to be, especially going up against the upperclassmen, and I had to cut a lot of weight. So basically just learning about nutrition and strength training at a really young age. And I applied for an internship at a gym nearby when I was 14 and basically just started coaching from 14 all the way through high school. And I just got obsessed with strength training and nutrition and coaching. So basically that was the catalyst for it. And I've been doing it ever since. And then started, I was a competitive power lifter from 18 to about 24.
Okay.
I did really well with that. Fortunately, trained at some high level gyms and set some records. And then I ended up through a crazy turn of events, ended up coaching Gary Vaynerchuk. So I started writing content for a website in 2011 and that content sort of fueled a whole bunch of other content, my website, my YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and then Gary's team found out about me through my content, and that's how I ended up coaching Gary. And now I'm in LA right now, just traveling with Gary wherever he goes. I go, and I train him every day, and just post content.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned just like your coaching. You're obviously training one of the busiest entrepreneurs in our generation. And a lot of our viewers and listeners are entrepreneurs and just realtors, like real estate agents. What is, a couple of tips, man? Like you always hear it, right? Like, I don't have enough time. And I make mention of you training Gary because it's a guy who's seems like every minute or so of his is being recorded. How does somebody like just make time to do little things to help their wealth and health and fitness, essentially?
I think where Gary wins with fitness and like where he really like went from doing literally nothing to doing it, making it a huge part of his life, is basically it was two ways. Number one, accountability. He has a coach with him, and he can't say no. Like, I'm here. I traveled with him. He's paying for my flight, paying for my hotel. Like, I show up in the morning ready to work out. He's not going to be like, oh no, like, never mind.
So he's accountable to you. That obviously is something that helps him.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, I can't afford to have someone be with me all the time. It's not about that. It's more just about putting some skin in the game and hiring someone and working with a coach, whether it's online, in person, whoever. But I think really where he really won big time is he made it something that was it was 7 days a week, where it became a part of his everyday, just like eating lunch or drinking water or taking a shower, brushing your teeth. It's just a part of your everyday. It's just like you don't even think about it after a certain point. And it doesn't mean we're working crazy hard every single day. There are some days where it's like we're only going to do 15 minutes of stretching because he's super tired and like he just can't do anything else. But that's sort of the benefit of having a 7-day-a-week schedule, in terms of you have a lot more flexibility with what you do. Like every time you go to the gym doesn't have to be an all-out effort, where I think a lot of people, if they only go one or two or three times a week, they think that it has to be the best workout ever. And if it's not, then they failed. And it's when it's just a part of your every single day, then it's okay to have some off ones, and it's not that big of a deal because you're going to be back in there tomorrow.
I love the fact, like just watching some of your content, like you drink a lot of coffee. I know it's, is it the magic unicorn that you call it?
Unicorn magic. Yeah.
Unicorn magic. Sorry. You eat a lot of pizza and burgers. And there's this thought that you can't touch a burger. You can't touch a pizza. You can't have a milkshake or a beer or a glass of wine, but you fit it in and you look good and you feel and your vibe, the vibrations you put out are so positive. What's the myths around that, man? Like, can you have a burger once in a while?
Man, honestly, I love your energy. Seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
I don't say that lightly. I talk with a lot of people, and I just like the positivity that you have.
Wow. Thank you, Jordan.
But in terms of what happens is this, there's a lot of conflicting information out there. And so a lot of people will say, like, there's a lot of information, like good calories, bad calories, like these foods inherently make you fat. Like, and it's funny because when we hear these things, it's so easy to be manipulated into thinking it. But for example, a lot of people are told like carbs are bad for you, like rice is bad for you. And then I'm like, well, hold on. Then why the fuck are like Asian populations some of the healthiest, longest living in the world, and white rice makes up a majority of their diet? It's like,
dude, I'm East Indian. We eat a lot of rice and a lot of carbs, man.
It's some of the healthiest populations in the world. And it's when you ask these people perpetuating this dogma that's just not accurate, those questions, they're like, well, it's different. And I'm like, well, why? They're like, well, next question, or they'll block me on Instagram or something because it's just not accurate. And the reality is, it's not. You don't, in the same way you don't get jacked from having one workout, or you don't get skinny from eating one salad. You don't get fat from having one slice of pizza, and you don't get weak and lose all your muscle for missing one workout. It's the consistency over the long term in every aspect. So in the same way that losing weight is going to take a long time, gaining weight is going to take a long time. And I think a lot of people, there's misconceptions with it. A lot of people, they see these fluctuations on the scale. They'll be like, I went up 2 pounds yesterday. It's like, that's not fat. It's just like, it's water, it's glycogen, it's stomach content. Your weight will fluctuate all over the place day to day, and it doesn't mean it's fat gain. It just means that you're weighing a different amount. I mean, it's funny. Like I kept track of my body composition in college. And one of the things I tracked was my bone density, because as I was lifting weights, as you lift weights, your bone density will improve. I gained about 4 pounds of bone over my course of my college years, which is just like, a lot of people don't realize your weight encompasses everything, not just your fat. So like if you see the weight increase, you see the weight go down, like it's not just a fat gain or fat loss. There's a lot of components that go into it.
Is that how of recent, I think I'm going to go back just so you know how much I watch your content, your stories in regards to the scales now, the pictures that everybody is posting on your stories. Is that how you came about that? Like you just getting a lot of people coming to you and say, I gained a pound yesterday, or I went down a pound. So how did that whole thing in your story start, man?
Well, so what happened, I mean, I've been coaching people since like online since 2011. And so what I do with my online coaching clients is I have them send me their weight every day. And so I track their weight in my own graphs and charts so I can see the fluctuations. And like one of the biggest issues I found with people is when their weight fluctuates upwards, even after a day or two of being perfect with their diet, they freak out. They're like, why isn't this working? I'm like, it doesn't, just because your weight fluctuated up doesn't mean it's bad. And just because you've been perfect with your diet doesn't mean the scale's going to go down every day. I mean, if you lost, we all logically know this, but like if you lost a pound a week every single week, you'd lose 52 pounds at the end of a year. And not everyone needs to lose 52 pounds. It's completely unrealistic. So what I did was over the years, like literally since 2011, I've tracked thousands of people's weight charts. And what I decided was, I was like, fuck it. People need to see this. So I decided that I was going to weigh in every day over this like course of a 90-day challenge and show people that my body composition, show them how it's changing for the better, but also show them my weight fluctuations so they can see that like it will fluctuate day to day, but you can't measure day to day. If you want to look at your progress on the scale, you have to look at it month to month. And that's really where I'm showing people how to accurately track their weight.
So now if somebody only had time to say, do the 3 or 4 days a week, right? What's like 3 or 4 days to hit the gym or do some stuff at home? What's some things that they can do? Like what should they focus on? What should they really focus on for those 3 or 4 days if they want to, like myself, I got some weight to lose. Okay. I got probably an extra, I'm going to say about 15 pounds that I need to get rid of. I feel awesome. I start to get a little bit of fat around my face and I want to drop about 15 pounds. I'm very busy. I go to 11, 12 hours a day. But I want to at least get 3-4 days a week in. How do I get 15 pounds? And I want to still be able to, what I'm trying to say is I can probably put in about 45 minutes to an hour for those 4 days a week.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say it's funny. I made this joke the other day on Instagram and people lost their shit. I was like, the best exercise for losing fat is called plate pushes. It's where you take your plate and you push it away. Plate pushes. You take your plate and you push it away. Because like it's nutrition is number one.
Right.
It's number one, man. And people, it's way easier to hear. Like I would way rather be able to go to the gym for 45 minutes to an hour every day, go balls to the wall and eat whatever the fuck I wanted afterwards.
Right.
But like, that's just not how it works. Because even the calorie trackers that track how many calories you burn, they're notoriously off. They're off upwards of 50%. And I think that a lot of the companies do that on purpose because if you see a higher number of calorie burned, you're going to feel better. You're going to want to keep using the product. And it's just, they're not accurate. So I would say number one, got to get your calories in check by far. Okay. Other than that, like going a few times a week, 45 minutes, like that's plenty of time. It's like I would probably do a full body strength training workout, just like mainly compound movements, squats, deadlifts, lunges, push-ups, chin-ups. If you can't do chin-ups, lat pull-downs are great. Dumbbell rows. It's super simple. And I have like a bunch of free content on my YouTube and Instagram, just like showing legit free full workouts that you can follow along with. But like 45 minutes is plenty.
Okay. So just to the viewers and the viewers on YouTube and the listeners on the podcast, you're obviously going to get all Jordan's handles and stuff like that. The team will take care of that. Before I shift gears to kind of your entrepreneurial world that you're living in, because a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs as well, your coaching program, I want you to speak about that. What can someone expect? I really want to get the word out, man.
It's basically, I mean, so I don't really do too much one-on-one anymore. I've sort of transferred out of that. I do sometimes, but Gary's my only in-person client. The one-on-one online coaching, I still do it occasionally, but the main thing I do is I have this like super, super, super low cost. It's $25 a month, $24.99. It's just like every month I give you your workouts. I give you your nutrition. We have an accountability group on Facebook, which is just like unbelievably positive. And it's called my Inner Circle. And then every year we have an annual retreat in Austin, Texas. And like, that's just the $24.99 a month pays for your ticket to that as well. It's like it's basically, it's no marketing bullshit. It's just like to help people achieve their fitness goals. That's all it is. So it's one of those things where a lot of people, they're confused on what to do from a workout perspective, what to do from a nutrition perspective. They don't know who to trust. And this is my way of being like, there's no reason you can't afford $25 a month to make sure that you have literally everything planned out for you. There's no guesswork. There's no like, I'm not sure if this is right or wrong. I don't know what to do. It's like, there's videos of the exercises. There's exact explicit instructions on what to do. So like, it's just super, super convenient for people if they don't know what to do or don't have the time.
Okay, so for my first 10 listeners that leave a review or a comment on this podcast or YouTube video, I'm gonna give a full year's membership to Jordan's Inner Circle. What's the program called? I just want to make sure I don't miss it and our listeners don't miss it.
Just the Syatt Fitness Inner Circle.
Syatt Fitness innercircle.com. Is that where somebody would go if they're hearing this in a year from now?
That would be sfinnercircle.com.
Perfect. First 10 listeners that leave a comment, I'm going to take care of their full year's membership. Okay, buddy. Because I love the messaging that you're putting out there, where there's so much fluff around the fitness industry, and how are you cutting through this? Like, I know with all the posts and stuff you're doing, but how did you come with the mentality that you're going to try to cut through all this fluff? Because in my real estate business, there's 54,000 realtors just in I'm going to say about 100, 200 kilometer radius. And I'm trying to cut through the clutter and all the noise. How are you doing it in the fitness industry, man?
You know, it's very just Gary-esque in terms of just being like
Gary-esque. I like that.
As honest as I can be. You know, it's just like, it's all as transparent as I can be, as honest as I can be. It's one of those things where I think one of the things a lot of people respect about what I do is I'm not afraid to say don't know. Like, if I don't know the answer, I'll be the first one to say I don't know the answer, but I'm going to find out for you. And I've also throughout the years, I've like, over and over and over again, if I was wrong about something, I came out and said, just so you know, like, I said this and I made a mistake because new research has come out and like now I believe this. I think a lot of people, when they resist the idea of being wrong, and they'll just dig themselves further into their belief and be very dogmatic with it. And so I think the fact that I've been able to come out and show people, hey, this is what I believed. This is why I was wrong before. This is what I believe now. And like, I have no problem doing that. It helps people trust me more when I say, listen, this is the truth, this is not. And if it ends up being false, then I'll come around and tell you so. But as of right now, this is what the current literature says. And I stay very consistent with my honesty. And I think that's why people trust it.
I love it because it's not the short-term thinking. You're playing the long game. You know, there's someone that my dad just started getting online. He's 74 years old, went online, probably started about 2 years ago. And there's somebody who said, if you drink this oil, you're going to lose weight. And my dad got it from some store. I go to the house. I'm saying, Dad, what is this? And someone had the balls to sell online some oil that's going to make people lose weight. You know, the bullshit that's out there, man.
It's really discouraging about how much bullshit's out there. It's like, and how much money goes into the marketing of it. Like, it's just, people are constantly bombarded with it over and over, like the skinny teas and the waist trainers and all these things that just like, there's literally zero scientific evidence supporting anything with them. But what people don't realize is the marketers, like, they're allowed to lie. Like, there's no one saying like, you can't lie about this shit. Like, they're absolutely able to. And I mean, even someone like Dr. Oz, who's a legitimate doctor, if anyone paid attention, like, he went under serious fire after years and years and years and years of like promoting all this like horse shit so that he could make money. He finally went under review from the medical board being like, what are you doing? Like, none of this stuff is supported by science. It was a huge scandal that happened. And like, now he's way more careful with the stuff that he's promoting. But like, it's so mainstream and it's so easy for people to be duped into believing this stuff when it's just like, it's all done for marketing purposes. The people who like you can really trust most, whether it's me or someone else, is the people who aren't trying to sell you a supplement. They're trying to like just help you change your lifestyle. If it involves like purchasing some type of a supplement or a tool or like whatever, it's probably not going to be your best bet if it's not changing your actual lifestyle.
Well, look, we all know what it takes, right? Like you said, eat less, push the plate away, work out a little bit. It's not that easy. You know, in sales, I always tell my team, I got a team of 25, and I say, if I had the blue magic pill like the Matrix, I would give it to you. I would take it. It's work. You got to put in the work, right? You got to put in the work. So
That's exactly right.
With that said, you're flying all over the place with Gary. You have the inner circle. How do you manage your time, man? And now I'm kind of shifting it for my entrepreneur listeners and people in business. How do you manage your time like that, man? You're a busy guy. I've been trying to get to you for a while, and you're always like communicating. Like I'm going to try, Jazz. So I love that, and thank you for that. But how do you manage your time?
I'm not the best at it. I'll be honest with you. It's tough. It's really tough. And I think any entrepreneur will like admit that time management is a really fucking hard thing. And it's been really interesting for me to watch Gary with that. And I think one of the things that Gary does better than anyone I've ever met is delegate. He's the best delegator I've ever seen. And like, he's really good at making sure every minute of his time is spent doing what he is best at, which is like communicating with people and having these discussions and like helping people. Anything like logistic wise or whatever, it's like he has other people take care of it always. And so for me, it's sort of like trying to get to that point where I can sort of outsource as much as I am not able to do or shouldn't be spending my time doing. But as of right now, man, like especially when so much of my life is dictated by wherever Gary is, I go and traveling several times, like usually at least 2, if not 4 to 6 flights every week.
Wow.
It's just like, yeah, man, it's bonkers. So it's just like, you got to do it as best you can. Like there's nothing else other than just being like, if you want it, you want it. And if you don't, you don't. And like last night, for example, I got in like super late to my hotel and I like hadn't eaten all day. But so I had to order room service. And then I got in a workout like really, really late at night. And like, it wasn't my best workout ever, but I got it in. And it's just like, it would have been way easier. I was telling my girlfriend this morning, it would have been just way easier to go to sleep. I just had to do what I had to do, you know?
You got it in. You just got it in. I love that attitude where you could have just said, I'm going to pack it in for the night. But yet you still got it in. I know because now this is almost my 50th episode. And so I've seen a theme with entrepreneurs that there's always been people that have been in their head that were saying that they couldn't do it. And I know there's somebody in your life, or maybe 2 or 8 people or 20 people that said, Jordan, you can't do this. How did you get over that, man?
Man, it's funny. I did have those people, and ever since, like, they've changed their minds. But it was funny, like when they were saying it, I don't think it was out of malice. I think it's mostly out of ignorance. I think it's mostly like, and that's my experience. Maybe some people have had like some serious, just like haters, just be like,
yeah,
there's no fucking way. But like for me, it was mostly people who just had no idea what was possible. And it was mostly like, hey, listen, I think in their mind, they were trying to help by being like, listen, like you got to take the safer route, like do this. And for me, it was never really an option. It's really just all it was. And I think it's a really funny story. I remember when I first started posting in 2011, I was posting on like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and this place called Clout and Photocracy, all these random places. And I was posting on LinkedIn every day, like several times a day. And one of my family friends, one of my brother's friends, his father, so a family friend, a father, he emailed me. He was like, Jordan, you got to stop posting on LinkedIn. It's blocking up my feed. And I was 19 or 20 at the time. Yeah. And I remember I emailed him back and I was like, hey, Mark, if you don't like my stuff, you can fucking block me.
Just press block.
And my mom, apparently he like forwarded the email to my mom because he got so mad, and my mom got pissed. She was like, you can't speak to like an adult like that. And I was like, fuck that guy. Like, if he doesn't stop telling me to like stop posting. And I recently saw him about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And I said, Mark, can you imagine if like that discouraged me enough to stop posting?
Wow.
Like, thank God I didn't listen to you. And like, because look what I've built now. And I like telling that story because I think hopefully people out there will hear it. And I think, and if they're told like, stop doing this, or it's annoying or whatever, you can't do it. Like, hopefully they'll be like, you know what, fuck it. Like, this is just the only option. And they won't let that type of attitude keep them from doing what they know they got to do.
Look, dude, I know you probably hear it a lot, and you get stopped wherever you are going. I want you to know that you've inspired a lot of people, even like including myself, but just people around me with the way that you're pushing out content and what you're saying, because it's just the truth. And it feels good to see someone like you on screen and saying that, hey, it's okay if you didn't give it your all today. Don't give up and post that piece of content, because someone like yourself who has such a big following, to know that you went through the same shit, like it makes us feel, and someone that's maybe just about to post their first video, like, I just got to get over it. So you've inspired a lot of people, and I want you to really know that, Jordan.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I appreciate it. And just so you know, like, I still go through that stuff every day. Like, it's funny. I think a lot of people get super like wide-eyed at like a big follower account, but man, I'll tell you, like, followers, the number of followers you have, I think a lot of people are like, well, it's easy to say when you have a lot of followers, but like, I really mean it, man. It means nothing in terms of like, the struggle is still there. The struggle is always there. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I would just be happier if I had these followers, or I would be happier if I like had more money, and I think it's just important to remember, a number of followers or any level of success, it doesn't take away that there's still struggle, there's still hardships, you're not going to have your best day, your best week, your best month all the time. And just keeping that perspective, because if it's always the I'll be happy when, then it's always going to be something chasing.
Well, not only that, really quickly, not only is the struggle real, your hustle and grind are real, because I see you comment on every single comment. Like, you reply back. I've hit you up, not even before all this podcast stuff. You hit people up, and I see it, and I watch your comments. I'm like, holy shit, where the heck does this guy get all this time? Like, but I know, like, you're making time for it, because someone out there is posting on your, commenting on your posts, right? And so, huge kudos to you for doing that, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
What is the easiest way for people to get to Jordan Syatt, man?
I would say 2 ways. I would say YouTube right now is really where I'm going as hard as I can. Just YouTube Jordan Syatt, and then Instagram Syatt Fitness. Those are probably the best ways to reach me for sure.
Dude, I'm going to extend an invitation to you. If you ever come to the 6th to Toronto, you got my number. I want to do as much as I can. I have an organization of close to 1,000, like my outside organization. I work for my company's under the biggest real estate organization in Canada, Royal LePage. But with just right outside my office, there's 500 realtors. If I could ever get them in, get you in front of them, whatever I can do. When you come to Toronto, just shoot me a text. I really, really want to give back to you now because you did this with me, man.
Dude, of course. And thank you. And I know Gary and I go to Toronto at least like 2 or 3 times a year. So definitely. And if you end up in New York, let me know.
100%.
We'll get a lift in. We'll get some pizza.
100%. Well, you know the best pizza spots, so you got to take me to a pizza spot in NY for sure. And I know the one thing about Toronto that you guys come here often enough. We got some amazing restaurants. We got some really good wine places. So whatever I can do to give back, Jordan, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time today, my man. I hope I did you justice.
No, honestly, man, and I don't. You can watch any podcast I've done. I don't think I've ever really said this. Your energy and your positivity is infectious, and I really appreciate like your everything, your demeanor, everything that you're doing. Really, it means a lot. So thank you, and I appreciate you really you getting me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Holla at me, buddy, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much, Jordan.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Take care.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jazz Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the REC Experience. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Click here to watch and experience more videos from REC.